The clock is ticking. Leaked U.S. intel suggests Iran could build a nuclear bomb within months. What happens when the world's most volatile region inches closer to a nuclear threshold and no one is ready to stop it? A newly leaked U.S. intelligence report, first revealed by the BBC, has thrown the global security community into high alert. According to the report, Iran's nuclear program has only been set back by months, not years, despite years of sabotage efforts, cyber attacks, and sanctions. The implication is stark. If Iran chooses to move forward with weaponization, it may be closer than ever to building a nuclear bomb. This summary explores the multi-layered impact of this development, using diplomatic, economic, historical, and humanitarian lenses. In a world already stretched thin by conflicts in Ukraine, Gaza, and the Pacific, the prospect of a nuclear-armed Iran represents a seismic shift not just for the Middle East, but for the entire global order. The leak lands at a perilous moment for diplomacy. Talks to revive the Iran nuclear deal, formerly the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action (JCPOA), have stalled for over a year. The Biden administration's cautious engagement has yielded few results, while Iran has continued expanding its uranium enrichment, now reportedly reaching levels just short of weapons grade. The intelligence report, if accurate, directly contradicts the more optimistic assessments previously shared by European allies and some UN officials. It suggests that despite public statements and global monitoring, Iran has retained key nuclear infrastructure and capabilities, positioning itself for a potential breakout should it decide to assemble a bomb. Israel, long vocal about the threat posed by a nuclear Iran, has reiterated its willingness to take unilateral military action. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant warned that Israel will not wait until it's too late, signaling that the new intel could act as a green light for preemptive operations. This escalation risks drawing in U.S. forces and regional allies, destabilizing an already fragile security environment. Markets are responding cautiously but nervously to the leaked intelligence. Oil prices nudged higher as investors priced in geopolitical risk around the Strait of Hormuz, a critical shipping lane controlled by Iran. A new round of tensions or military actions could disrupt global oil flows, driving inflation and economic strain, especially for countries already battling post-pandemic instability. For Iran, the report complicates its already precarious economy. International sanctions have crushed exports, hobbled banking systems, and sparked domestic unrest. Yet, Tehran has found ways to circumvent economic isolation through barter arrangements with Russia, energy deals with China, and underground financial networks that undermine U.S. restrictions. Meanwhile, the leak threatens to derail fragile economic ties between Europe and Iran. European powers, still hoping for a diplomatic off-ramp, now face pressure from Washington and Tel Aviv to reimpose broader sanctions or freeze talks entirely. As the West scrambles for a coherent response, Iran's alignment with China, Russia, and other anti-Western blocs may deepen, fundamentally redrawing the strategic map of the Middle East. The non-proliferation regime that has guided global nuclear policy since the Cold War is under serious strain. The Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons (NPT), once the gold standard of disarmament diplomacy, is facing obsolescence. North Korea already broke through. Now, Iran may follow, showing other nations that if you can survive sanctions and maintain secrecy, the nuclear threshold is crossable. The current crisis also reflects deeper failures of past strategy. Both the Obama and Trump administrations claim to have contained Iran's nuclear ambitions, one through diplomacy, the other through maximum pressure. Neither approach proved sustainable. The intelligence leak may be the most damning evidence yet that Iran has outlasted and outmaneuvered to decades of global deterrence efforts. This moment also echoes Israel's long-standing security doctrine: never allow a hostile neighbor to acquire nuclear weapons. From the 1981 Assyrian strike in Iraq to the 2007 raid on Syria's reactor, Israel has acted preemptively before. With new intelligence in hand, that precedent could soon be repeated. Geopolitical brinkmanship often overlooks those who pay the heaviest price: civilians. In Iran, ordinary people are already grappling with a collapsed currency, medicine shortages, and worsening repression. The prospect of military conflict or further sanctions will only intensify suffering among a population that has little say in the regime's strategic ambitions. In Israel and across the region, missile alerts and military drills are once again becoming the norm. civil defense teams are being reactivated. Communities in northern Israel and the Golan Heights within range of Iranian proxies in Lebanon and Syria are preparing for worst-case scenarios. Humanitarian agencies fear that another wave of conflict could overwhelm already strained systems. In Gaza, Jordan, Lebanon, and Iraq. The potential for displacement, refugee surges, and medical crises is immense. Yet global humanitarian funding is already under strain from Ukraine, Sudan, and Gaza. If a military escalation erupts from this intelligence leak, the humanitarian fallout may far exceed the region's capacity to cope, the leaked U.S. intelligence about Iran's nuclear progress isn't just a technical update, it's a geopolitical shockwave. It exposes the limits of existing deterrence, reveals the cracks in global diplomacy, and signals that the nuclear threat landscape is shifting rapidly and dangerously. The international community now faces a binary choice: reinvigorate diplomacy with urgency or brace for a destabilizing new phase of conflict, possibly nuclear. The clock is ticking, and the window for a peaceful resolution is narrowing by the day. Watch the full documentary after the summary, only on this channel.
The truce between Israel and Iran appears to be holding for now, hours after President Trump accused both sides of violating the fragile ceasefire that he announced overnight. As he set off for the NATO summit this morning, the president swore in front of reporters as his frustration, particularly at Israel, boiled over. You'll hear in full what he had to say in a moment. Tonight, Donald Trump has been warmly welcomed in The Hague, where NATO leaders have sat down to dinner at the start of the two-day summit on defence. It comes, though, as questions are now being raised in the United States about just how successful the American airstrikes were on Iran's nuclear facilities. Here's our North America editor, Sarah Smith.
Israel launched a barrage of airstrikes on Tehran as the ceasefire deadline approached, also striking Iranian missile launchers in a last-minute, all-out assault. Donald Trump was furious with both Iran and particularly Israel for not respecting the deal.
I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot.
We often see President Trump exasperated, but never actually swearing like this.
You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Understand that Israel has pushed him too far this time, just when he's on his way to take a victory lap at a NATO summit in The Hague, but only if the truce holds. He posted on social media, Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do, it's a major violation. Bring your pilots home now. Then from onboard Air Force One, in a call to the Israeli Prime Minister, which the White House described as exceptionally firm and direct, Trump demanded he stick to the ceasefire. And then posted again saying, Israel is not going to attack Iran. All planes will turn around and head home while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran. Nobody will be hurt. The ceasefire is in effect.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be with a friend of mine.
The NATO Secretary-General, Mark Rutte, is hosting Donald Trump in The Hague tonight. They get on well, but he might be very surprised to find the text messages he sent praising the president posted on social media. He wrote, Mr. President, dear Donald, congratulations and thank you for your decisive action in Iran. That was truly extraordinary, something no one else dared to do. It makes us all safer.
About aggression by
On Air Force One, Mr. Trump is already talking about his desire to agree a ceasefire in Ukraine.
You know, I'd like to see a deal with Russia. As you know, Vladimir called me up. He said, can I help you with Iran? I said, no, I don't need help with Iran. I need help with you.
Donald Trump loves a grand VIP welcome, arriving at the Royal Palace in The Hague, where he's meeting other NATO leaders, talking to them about spending more on their own defence, about Ukraine, and what he considers to be his crowning achievement in the Middle East. It's being reported here in America tonight that those American airstrikes on Iran might not have done as much damage to their nuclear facilities as Donald Trump claimed when he said they had been completely obliterated. An early Defense Department assessment that's been leaked says that the core components of Iran's nuclear program may not have been destroyed, that the country might only have been set back a few months, and that much of their enriched uranium stockpiles could have been moved to secret sites before the attack. Now, the White House are very angry about that. They've pushed back, saying this is flat wrong. The press secretary said everyone knows what happens when you drop 14 30,000-pound bombs perfectly on their target. Total obliteration, she said. But they're not saying the Defense Department assessment is untrue.
Sarah Smith, our North America editor, thank you. Well, Israel and Iran had launched large-scale attacks at each other overnight. In Iran, targets were hit in the capital Tehran and in the northern region of Gilan, where local officials now say at least 16 people were killed. In Israel, the southern city of Beersheba was hit. 4 people were killed in a missile strike on a residential building. From Jerusalem, Lucy Williamson reports.
Beersheba was still a war zone this morning as Iran announced its commitment to peace. Rescue teams bringing out bodies from an apartment block, hit in a final salvo of missiles, fired minutes before Iran agreed to the truce. One sliced through the walls straight into a bomb shelter, rescuers said, killing several people inside.
It's not about how many landed, it's why are missiles still being targeted towards civilian buildings like this?
There's meant to be a ceasefire this morning.
Well, you know, actions speak volumes, and this speaks for itself.
I think Israel need to hit back Iran because Iran kill people. Iran said peace, but there is no peace, no peace.
As we were there, another alert came in, warning of more missiles fired from Iran, after Israel had also agreed to the truce. But Israeli planes, on their way to retaliate, were called back home on the orders of Donald Trump. Tonight, Israel's Prime Minister vowed to act against any new nuclear threat.
All the actions that our fighters have taken have brought Iran's nuclear program to ruins. And if anyone in Iran tries to revive this project, we will act with the same determination and strength to end any such attempt. I repeat, Iran will not have nuclear weapons.
Iran still has the capability to fire missiles at Israel and has warned of a powerful response to any further attacks. The war has shifted power in Israel's favor, but tonight in Tehran, protesters called for their leaders to resist.
We must see it through to the end. There's no benefit in stopping now. Just like what happened in Gaza and Lebanon, Israel, America, and Trump himself cannot be trusted at all.
Iran will avenge the people you killed, said Suhaila. One day we'll catch you off guard. Be sure of that. In northern Israel today, a souvenir from 12 days of conflict. An interceptor used in Israel's air defenses. Israel says this short war has made the region safer by weakening Iran as a military threat. But it's weakened the regime as well. Lucy Williamson, BBC News, Beersheba.